everyone. Thank you all for joining the College Talk series. In this series, we will have current and former students present on their college experiences every Saturday at 7 p.m. This is the fourth session, and this week we have Arjun Nair, who completed his junior year from University of Maryland. He's taking a double major in computer science and economics BS. Thank you for taking your time to present about UMD.
Thank you.
This presentation is being brought to you by Robotics for Youth, a nonprofit organization led by youth for youth with the aim of promoting STEM education. Along with these college talks, we also do STEM workshops, certification classes, hold virtual competitions, and much more. If you're interested in any of our other classes, visit our website, roboticsforyouth.org. All microphones will be muted during the session. If you have any questions at any time, please use the chat function at the bottom of the screen. Ritika and I will ask the questions in the chat to the presenter, and they can answer through audio. Now we'll hand it over to Arjun to talk about his college experiences with University of Maryland.
Thank you guys for that intro. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yeah, I stopped my sharing.
Okay, cool. Saying I can't. Yeah, it's saying I can't share my screen. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So my name is Arjun Nair. I'm a dual degree in computer science and economics, class of 2021. Just finished my junior year at UMD. So I guess a little bit about me. I went to Atherton High School, class of 2017, here in Maryland, Columbia, Maryland. UMD class of 2021, computer science and economics dual degree. I'm a Banneker Key Scholar, which is a full merit-based scholarship. I'm part of the Quest Business and Design program, and currently I'm a software engineering intern at Microsoft. Whoops. So, I mean, that's kind of my background. I guess I'll just jump into it, getting into college. So I'm sure you guys have kind of delved into at least like some sort of introductory idea as far as the process goes for getting into college. So pretty much it's making sure your GPA and grades are, up to standards. Test scores like your SAT subject tests, ACTs are up there. Your essays, and then various other extracurricular things that you might want to add to your application to make yourself stand out. So for freshman year, once you've gotten into UMD and you decide to come here, I guess just briefly, I can talk about some of the biggest changes. And generally it's kind of obvious. You're kind of taking significantly more responsibility for yourself. So a lot of the decisions you make are consequential to yourself. No one's making these decisions for you. And in a way, it's a big change, but after a couple months, you get pretty used to it. Freshman year, obviously is probably your best opportunity to make friends. And because one thing that you should keep in mind, especially going to freshman year, regardless of what school you go to, is everybody there is trying to make friends as well. Everybody there isn't already in an entrenched social group. So people are super open. So obviously try to meet the people on your floor, in your dorm, meet people at the dining hall, at clubs that you join, and various other events that are thrown for freshmen throughout the year that allow you to meet as many people as possible and try to develop a friend group of your own. And in terms of biggest changes, it's part of that. It's all kind of everything kind of encompassing into that journey of kind of delving into this world with greater responsibility. As far as academics goes, if you don't know much about UMD, it's a state school, so obviously it's not going to give you that Ivy League stamp or anything. But the academics at UMD they're pretty well renowned, especially for computer science and engineering, um, as well as like math and physics as well. So if you want to go into those like technical type of endeavors, UMD is one of the best schools to possibly go to, especially for CS. We're like top 10, top 15. Math, I'm pretty sure we're top 10, top 20. And physics, I think we're third in the nation, if you want to go into that. Engineering, is there a question? No? Okay. Engineering is also one of the better schools. So anything on that realm is pretty good. In terms of kind of like the other side of the ocean, pre-med, it's also solid. It's not like some sort of well-renowned program, but UMD Med is also like extremely good. And UMD does prepare you pretty well for getting into med school. And I've got plenty of friends that are doing pre-med right now. As far as like other majors, UMD is like pretty solid. You kind of have to like do your own research to understand like what type of fit you would get depending on certain majors. As far as economics, I'm an economics major. There are two different ways that you can go with economics. You can go BA or BS. So BS is more math focused direction. That's the way that I go. BA is more theory focused and more conceptually based. So kind of have to pick and choose with economics, and then that goes for a lot of other majors as well. What is this chat?
Before you move on, we have a request from Rishabh Venkatesh in the chat asking you to share about your experiences with your internship.
I will do that. I will do that at the end of this slide, I promise. All right, so that's pretty much academics. Extracurricular activities, it's kind of up to you. So as a state school, we have like 28,000 undergrads. So there's a club for almost everything. It really just kind of depends. You kind of have to like join as many as you want, and then kind of figure out if you're compatible with the people that are in that club, if you actually enjoy what's going on. For me, I tried it. There weren't a ton of clubs that I personally was super into, so I didn't get into a bunch of clubs. But I know a lot of people that are super into like hackathon organizations like Technica and BitCamp. Terrapin Hackers is another big one for CS people. Engineers Without Borders for engineering people. That's like one of the biggest clubs on campus, as well as like intramural sports. I usually play intramural sports if you want to count that, or club sports if you're good enough, as well as like some other niche clubs in the athletic side of like rock climbing or crew or sailing club. I don't really know what they do, but yeah, so wide ranging collection of clubs that you can join. And then social life, yeah, I mean, there's really no social pressure at UMD. You can kind of choose your way. So if you have friends if you and your friends like to chill, like you can chill, you can do what you want. There's no like pressure to go out or to drink or anything like that. If you want to do that, you can. So yeah, so UMD, like, it is what you make of it. And so I guess for Rashab, I'll talk about my internship as well. So currently I'm a software engineering intern at Microsoft. I haven't started yet. I start on Tuesday. But I recently interned for Publicis Sapient in New York City last summer. And so this kind of dives into purely CS. But I was working on a conversation assistant for enterprise called Marcel at Publicis Sapient. And I don't want to get into too specific detail unless... Okay, I'll answer that question next. Yeah, so yeah, we built a conversation engine, and I'll probably jump into more details about like how I got my internship and various other things as well. So got a question here. How is UMD with high school credits? I will get to that. I think that's the next slide.
We also had another question from Kamala Krishnan. For students from Virginia, would you recommend UMD computer science more than GMU or VTech or UVA? And what made you choose UMD if you've got admission in other colleges?
Okay, I will answer that this slide because this kind of encompasses everything. And there's also another question that asks about high school credits. And I'm pretty sure that's like AP credits, right? To clarify. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I'll get into all that right now. Okay, so getting into college, high school GPA. So I'm from Howard County, Maryland, and we're kind of notorious for inflated GPAs. But I guess like a general rule for getting in is try to be top 5, top 10% in your class. UMD is a competitive school, especially if you're out of state. Kind of alluding to that previous question, where if you're from Virginia, and I think most of you guys are from Virginia, it's going to be significantly more competitive to get into UMD than someone like me getting in from Maryland. So high school GPA, obviously like a big factor for UMD admissions. College essays, a little bit less so. I don't think UMD puts a ton of stock into college essays. I think primarily because it's not like a liberal arts college. It's not a private college. But with that being said, college essays are important. Be genuine, be and try to be interesting. Like don't try to force something that you're not in your college essay. Just try to be genuine and try to make an interesting narrative about yourself. Standardized testing. This is your ACT, SAT subject test. This stuff, I took it back when it was the 2400 scale. And back then for 2400, you had to get like at least like a 2000, 2100 for like a strong candidacy. I think nowadays at a 1600, it's probably like try to get like a 1400, 1350 to 1400, and then you'll be pretty set in that department. And then I guess I'll talk about AP credits as well. UMD does a good job with AP credits. They have a like a PDF that shows like what credits give you credit for certain classes. So if you get like a I don't know, like a 4 in AP chemistry, you get out of like these certain classes. But if you get a 5 in AP chemistry, you get out of these additional classes. Or things like that. Is like bio gets you out of like a bunch of classes, and various other like AP Spanish. If you get a 4 in it, you get out of like these 2 classes. If you get a 5, you get out of an additional class. Most of them though, if you get a 4 or a 5, then you can pass. I know for computer science, you have to get a 5 in order to get credit for the intro computer science class. So if I were you, I would just look up like UMD AP credit, like transfer or whatever, and it'll give you like a database of things, of scores for that corresponds to like each class at UMD that you can get out of. Extracurriculars, I kind of already talked about this. There's another question. Oh yeah, no problem. Oh, whoops. Extracurriculars, I talked about that. So deciding between colleges. So this, I can answer that other question as well. So personally, like I'm from Maryland. I didn't apply to GMU or VTech or UVA. So I can't really talk too much about those 3 schools. However, what I can say is that UMD is one of the most renowned colleges for computer science. So if you're talking computer science by itself, UMD is like one of the best entryways if you want to get into industry right away. That also, something I'm going to talk about later as well, because I have experience with research, is it's also one of the best professional academic avenues as well, because it's such a theory-focused curriculum at UMD. And UMD is renowned globally for being a great research institution for computer science and research in general. So if higher academia is like in your plans or something that you're considering, like UMD is like top tier for that. But as far as deciding between colleges, obviously that's kind of up to you and your priorities. So if that ranking matters to you, obviously like UMD is a top 15 CS school. And not only that, like those rankings kind of don't mean a ton per se. The number one thing about UMD is that you're going to have a shot at all the top firms. So I'm obviously like doing an internship at Microsoft. I know people that have gotten like Facebook research, interviews with Jane Street, Two Sigma. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with these firms, but these are like top tier, like Blackstone, like top tier trading firms, quant trading firms, top tier and software engineering firms, product management. Across the board for CS, UMD is considered one of the best universities and pumps out some of the best students. So you're going to have that reputation as far as a CS student goes when you're coming out of UMD. But obviously, like that alone isn't going to get you these jobs. Like you got to come out and perform, and that's like a completely other topic that like I might come back and dive into sometime in the future, because that's more for college. But yeah, like CS interviews are a kind of a different beast, but UMD is going to get you those interviews. So if you have a good GPA and you've kind of built yourself an application that's respectable, then you can definitely find your way to one of those big jobs right out of school. Another question is, does UMD give a lot of scholarships? Depends. So in-state, yes. So if you're in-state, then they do give a decent number of scholarships if you're good in terms of merit. So they give merit-based scholarships mostly, unless obviously you get recruited. It's a D1 school, so you get recruited for athletics, then they'll give you a scholarship then too. But for me, I got the Banneker Key Scholarship, which is a full scholarship. They give it to about 250 students applying, with a majority of them coming from in-state. So that's something to keep in mind. But they also have presidential scholarships, which in-state is $8,000 and out-of-state is $12,000 per year. They have a Dean's List scholarship, which is $5,000. I'm not sure what that is out of state, but I think in-state's 5,000. And I think maybe one more scholarship that I'm not aware of that might be also 5,000 as well. So something to keep in mind, but also understand that out of state is going to be harder to get a scholarship, but you are going to get more money for being an out-of-state student, if that makes sense. So if you think you're a strong candidate for UMD, then a scholarship could be in your future. Okay, so freshman year, biggest changes. Orientation's pretty light. It's like a 2-day thing. You live in one of the dorms for one night. You like pick your classes, you like walk around campus. They show you like the main things on campus. Yeah, I think, some like culture stuff as well. There's not too much going on in orientation. It's not like a huge thing. And then obviously like you pick your classes for the next semester. So before going into orientation, like have an idea of what you want. And then they're going to guide you through the system to pick your classes. Campus life. I don't really even know how to describe this. There are a lot of people. So there are 28,000 undergrads. It's a big graduate school as well. So you're going to see a lot of people around. And this kind of goes into like dining facilities as well. In that a lot of the times when I was in freshman year, I was in sophomore year, when I was at the dining halls, first of all, like they're okay. I'm sure like Rashab can flex his VTech dining hall, because they're like country renowned for having one of the best dining halls. But UMD, we're average. We got okay food, a lot of options. So like the way it works is you pay like $2,000, $2,400 to get unlimited swipes into the dining hall. And then there's also an option for dining dollars, which gives you like these special dollars to spend at like convenience stores or like Chick-fil-A or other third-party type options. I've never used dining dollars in my life. I've only used like the dining hall, and then just paid for Chick-fil-A whenever I wanted. So that's kind of up to you. Personally, I think dining dollars are a little overrated. I don't think it's worth the extra money, but hey, that's up to you. But another thing that kind of translates into campus life as well for dining facilities is one thing that I noticed is a lot of times when I went to the diner, I would see a lot of my friends there too. And it just became an awesome time to just meet up with my friends, meet up with people that I knew, even like vaguely knew, just to say hi, because everyone's still trying to become friends. Everyone's trying to like figure it out while they're there. So freshman year was fun in that like I was just always hanging out with like different people. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun in the dining hall. Great time to kind of meet people and talk to people. Recreational centers. So we have a place called Epley Recreational Center, which is like a world class fitness area. It's got this like Olympic sized pool. It's got this 2-story fitness area, a track inside, 4 basketball courts, like a yoga area upstairs, like boxing areas, various other places, things inside Epley that I still have yet to discover. Yeah, so it has pretty much everything you need as far as like fitness goes. Um, there's also like other places like the School of Public Health, which has a weight room, um, and they also do some like boxing stuff. I think Boxing Club is in the School of Public Health, and then there's also another place on the other side of campus called Ritchie Coliseum, which has a weight room as well, which is where I go. So yeah, those are like the recreational centers. They're pretty good. Why are roommates important? So, I mean, this is kind of like an obvious answer. Like, this is the person that you're living with the most, especially in your freshman year. So, you obviously like want someone that respects your values and respects your space and isn't a nuisance in any kind of way that you deem. But also, like on the flip side of that, so in terms of the first side, it might seem like it's better to just like pick someone and trust, and then make that person your roommate. But on the flip side, like this is your opportunity to kind of branch out and then kind of have a brand new like life outside of your like stringent I guess like K through 12 uh, friends or whatever. So in that case, like I know a lot of people that did random roommates who have like best friends from doing that. So obviously there's risk. You might get a person that's crazy, but you also might find a person that you didn't know that might be your best friend. So in a lot of ways, like your roommates are important, but it also gives you an opportunity to meet new people and branch out and discover new things. And then finally, dorm life. I had the best dorm at UMD called Prince Frederick Hall. So I can't really speak on this. Like, I don't know if you've heard the news reports about UMD dorms. It's not the best. They're not the best dorms, but they're livable. They're not too small. They're small, but they're not too small. And it's like public bathrooms and stuff. But that's kind of how most dorms are. So yeah, pretty typical standard dorm life at UMD. I would say like slightly below average though. Um, so next one, any questions? Okay. Cool. Okay. So academics, excuse me, class structure. So typically like coming in freshman year, you're going to have usually like a lecture discussion type setup. So what that means is like Monday, Wednesday, you're going to have an hour-long lecture, a 50-minute lecture. And then Friday, you're going to have a discussion section that's also 50 minutes. So the difference between those two things, and at other schools, they might call it like a recitation or something. But the two lectures are exactly what they sound like. It's probably like a large lecture hall, and the professor is just teaching. And then obviously, like you can ask questions if you want, things of that nature. But the purpose of a lecture is to convey content, and that's the primary purpose of that. Discussions are smaller sections that are taught by TAs, which allow you to pretty much ask more nuanced questions and have a better understanding of what's going on. And usually the discussions have like activities that you can do to just better understand the material. So that's usually the case with most classes. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, hour. Or as you get higher up. So higher level classes usually don't have discussions. And typically they're Tuesday, Thursday classes. So it's 75 minutes on Tuesday and Thursday. And you just have 2 lectures and you're kind of on your own. So that kind of flows into the second point, self-study. For me, I prefer self-studying. I kind of just try to get my stuff done by myself and me. But if you want to find like a group of people to work with, or if you want to take advantage of like office hours or various other resources, you can. Professors usually have office hours, or you can go to like TA office hours, which are completely different. At least for CS, I'm pretty sure there are TA office hours for other majors as well. So yeah, in terms of class structure, that's kind of how it is. In terms of CS, I think a lot of you guys are probably thinking about UMD for CS. The lecture halls, I mean, the lectures themselves are pretty large, especially in the beginning. But because we have so many CS students, that's something to keep in mind when you're considering the school is that, especially like the first couple classes that you take, you're going to see like 300 plus people in your lectures, which might seem intimidating. It's not that bad, but it's a lot of people. And then moving forward in your upper levels, you're going to see probably like 100 people in your classes. So like I would say like 70 to 100 people in your classes. So that's something to keep in mind when you're considering your school. But obviously, like you are getting a top tier education. So, you know, pros and cons right there. Co-ops, I don't know like a ton about co-ops. I know that there are people that have done them. So they've taken semesters off to work for like Google and Facebook, things of that nature. I'm not the best person to ask because I don't really know how they get into that. For me, I've only done like internships over the summer. So these people have done, I guess, like internships over the fall as well. So they're not like legitimate co-ops. They're kind of just like a semester off to work for a company. And study abroad.
Oh, sorry. We just had one quick question from Lija Sukumaran. How safe are UMD campuses?
How safe are UMD campuses? That's a good question. I'm gonna be completely honest. We are in PG County, and if you've heard anything about PG County, not the best place in the world. So like you're gonna get emails saying like there's stuff going on like outside of campus, but typically like there's never any like serious conflict that comes into campus. So like I would say generally like 95% of the time like it's really safe. But it's something to keep in mind. You can't just like wander off anywhere you go. You can't just like just go anywhere. Like the campus is like a very defined campus. So, you know, walking outside of it, you're kind of taking at least like some sort of risk, in the sense that like within like the Route 1 area, you're probably fine. But if you go more into PG County and way off campus and stuff like that, then it gets a little less safe. So just something to think about. But the UMD campus itself and like the surrounding areas around UMD, all like perfectly safe. And I haven't really heard any issues that have come from that. So I guess I'll continue to study abroad. So I actually did study abroad this semester, which ended pretty tragically, as you might assume. I studied abroad in Barcelona, Spain. But I got sent back in March for the quarantine, obviously. So I guess some like brief discussion about study abroad is that UMD makes it pretty easy to study abroad. There are a ton of options. You can go pretty much anywhere in the world to study abroad. And if they don't have a defined program on the website, you can actually like go to them and ask them, hey, can I go here? There's there's like a lot of additional work you have to do to like ask them if you can go to like this brand new school that they've never like given permission for. Like you have to like show them like validation that these courses like cover what you're looking for, and this and that. But yeah, UMD study abroad pretty much is extremely comprehensive in that like you can go almost anywhere you want, and it's really good about that. The study abroad counselors are really helpful, and they're super nice and they're helpful. And yeah, I wouldn't say it's too competitive either. So if you want to go to a place, as long as you take it seriously, like good chance that you go to that place. Like Barcelona is the most competitive place, and I got there. I did it fine, just as long as you show a good amount of interest in the place that you're going. Uh, as far as CS study abroad, so I didn't do CS study abroad. I did a general Maryland in Barcelona program, which for the most part they don't really offer CS programs at those schools because UMD is an intensive CS program, so they're not just going to take CS credit from any school in the world. So I did economics in Barcelona, but there are CS programs across the globe as well. I had some friends that just went to Sydney to study CS, a friend that went to Singapore, Copenhagen, Madrid, and various other places around the globe. So um, yeah, something to consider. Do your research if that's something you're interested in. I think most people go like their junior spring, like I did. Um, given that there's no pandemic going on. So keep that in mind.
We got one question from
Yep.
Kamala Krishnan. What prompted you to study in Spain? Is there any specific reason for you to go to Spain?
Yeah, I love Spain. That's about it. I love Barcelona. I went there, I think the winter after my freshman year. And it's like my favorite place in the world. I think Barcelona is the best city in the world. So kind of off topic from Maryland, but yeah, Spain's sick. So definitely go if you can. Any other questions about study abroad?
I think that's about it for study abroad.
Cool. Okay. Online coursework. If this is pertaining to Corona, I can't answer it because I didn't take any UMD classes this semester. And my semester ended like when the quarantine started, so I didn't really have to do any online coursework. But in terms of online classes, I did take an online class once. It's pretty straightforward. But the online class I took was in the winter, so it was like significantly shorter, much more intensive. It was like 4 to 5 weeks of instruction. There were no like lectures or anything. It was just mostly like readings and assignments. I took a general education class in humanities. As far as like other online classes, I think it's mostly the same type of thing. Like there aren't any defined lecture times that you have to attend online. I think it's like they pretty much just post lectures online. You just watch them if you want, and then they just put assignments up on Canvas. Like they're, I don't know if you guys use Canvas, but it's like this generalized area to put files. So you just go there, you do your assignments on Canvas, and that's how online coursework works. Undergrad research. So I did some research. I did research for 3 semesters, CS research in visualization theory, and it's cool. I think in some cases because UMD is a competitive CS school, so I can speak on CS research by itself. For pretty much all other majors, getting research is not that hard from what I know. But for CS research, it's like significantly more competitive just because like there's so many people just trying to beef up their resumes like 24/7. So if you do want to do research, like I would recommend just getting on that pretty early. So I emailed a professor right after my freshman year, and she was a new professor. She didn't already have like existing students that were working with her, and luckily like I came on as like her first undergraduate researcher person. As far as like more details that go into my more details on my undergraduate research, one sec. So like I said, I did visualization theory, which is pretty much like finding better ways to interpret data. And so visualizations are obviously like things like line charts or bar graphs, things of that nature. So what I was doing was trying to create a pretty much an application that deciphers D3.js code, which is a visualization JavaScript library, trying to understand how people make visualizations in that language, and trying to create a platform that kind of abstracts all of that necessary knowledge, because D3.js is pretty hard to understand. I pretty much had to figure out patterns within how already like how D3.js like experts make visualizations, and pretty much abstract those pieces and find pieces from certain visualizations that can help like a beginner create a visualization for their own data. Kind of hard to explain, but yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. I stopped after three semesters just because research is not really my thing. I'm more of an industry type of guy. Like I said, like I interned in New York doing app dev, and I was working on this really cool app. And for me, I prefer doing that. But there are a lot of like really cool research opportunities that are available at UMD, with some really cool professors. Just know UMD is a research institution. We have some of the best research professors in the world for CS. So I'm not saying that to like scare you or to like gas up UMD or anything. I'm saying that just completely like reasonably, like these professors are going to expect a lot out of you if you do try to go this way, but you're like, likewise, you're going to learn a ton of stuff if you do decide to put in the time and effort that comes in with doing undergraduate research. So I think it's a valuable experience. Not really my bread and butter or like ultimate desire, but if you're interested in doing higher academia, like you have to do undergraduate research. Like that's a must. Um, Along with a high GPA, just putting that out there. If you're interested in getting a master's or a PhD, you want to definitely have research and significant research with papers. And you also want a pretty high GPA, because master's schools, doctorate schools, that's like pretty much what they look for. And then obviously like your GRE score, but that's not kind of in the scope of this. But something to think about if you're interested in doing higher academia. Dealing with professors, I've never had a problem with professors. I don't like I'm not the best person to ask, because I don't really spend a lot of time associating with professors. Like I said earlier, like I'm mostly like to myself. And personally, like I've found it reasonable to try to pretty much get things done on my own. And I haven't had much of a need to like ask professors for anything. So in terms of dealing with professors, like as long as you're not complaining for unnecessary reasons, like really like it's work in, work out, like input is equal to outcome. So the work that you put in is going to reflect the grade that you get back. And sometimes it might not be the exact grade that you want. Sometimes the curve isn't the best, but the more work you put in, the more you study, the more effort that you put into the class, the better the outcome's going to be. And as long as you're respectful with the professors, they're going to be respectful with you. And so that's something to remember if you need to confront the professors or ask them questions or anything like that. Just make sure you're respectful. And that goes for TAs as well. Just be respectful with everyone. Methods to optimize classes. I don't really know what this means, but I guess like Chegg, you can get answers off Chegg. Honestly, like, yeah, they're good resources. A lot of times, like, professors do recycle questions. One thing to keep in mind, though, is number one, don't just like straight copy off Chegg. Like, this is like university. I know of professors, you've probably heard of professors that pretty much cheat Chegg. So like there was a final that happened recently. I'm not sure if it was at UMD or at a different school, where they put up a question on Chegg with the incorrect answer. So the professor put up the exam question on Chegg beforehand with the incorrect answer. And I think like 40% of students just copy and pasted that Chegg answer onto the exam, and they all got cited for academic dishonesty. And I think they're probably getting XFs, which is something you don't want to get. An XF is pretty much showing that you had an academic dishonesty like moment in that class. So with Chegg and all these like Course Hero and things like that, if I were you, like they're good resources, but make sure you know what you're doing. So even if you're like copying your answers off there, just read the answer first and make sure it makes sense um, before you just kind of blindly like put it on your work. Just understand what you're doing first.
Before you move on, I got a question from Joshua Manuel asking, since you're doing a dual degree, how much time do you have to do other things and how are you able to manage your time?
It's a good question. Not that bad, honestly. Like my dual degree, I can give you my exact situation. So I tested in with both micro and macro economics AP, which pretty much gets you out of all of like the beginner level economics courses. Um, and I also took the Calc BC exam, and so that got me out of like Calc 2. So all of that kind of translated into me being able to jumpstart the economics BS course right away from like intermediate level classes. So in that sense, like the dual degree, like the classes part isn't too bad. The CS major is a 7 semester program. So you're pretty much taking 1 to 2 classes of CS every single semester. You take 5 classes total per semester on a regular basis. But another thing is, excuse me, you, excuse me, the AP credits you come in with in terms of like gen eds, that also matters as well. So for me, I had 31 AP credits coming in. So I was able to get out of things like my natural lab, natural science, gen eds, certain like, I forgot what all the gen eds were, but yeah, so like AP credits are going to give you those credits to get out of classes. And most APs do give you that opportunity. Like AP Lang got me out of English 101, which is like the initial English credit. So yeah, within that, it's not too hard because number one, like I was able to test in pretty much to the second stage of economics, and I was also able to get a lot of gen eds out with my AP credits. So yeah, dual degrees aren't too bad. Economics obviously isn't as rigorous as like something like math or physics. Um, so in that case, obviously, like you're going to spend more time in class. But my friends that are CS math, they get through fine. So yeah, it's not too bad. But I don't think they're dual degrees. I think they're either double majors um, or minors in math. I think the biggest difference between dual degree and a double major is you get 2 different diplomas in either bachelor. So but there's also like a course requirement, like I think you have to have 150 credits when you graduate, something like that. Along those lines, you can do that research. But dual degree, the difference between a double major and a dual degree is that you get 2 different diplomas for, in my case, computer science and economics. So something to keep in mind. Any other questions for academics? Okay. Extracurriculars. Okay, so research teams, I've kind of talked about that. Campus life, yeah, kind of talked about that as well. Intramural athletics. So I am athletics. I play like a decent amount. At least try to. So my freshman and sophomore year, I played a lot of soccer because I played varsity in high school. And then recently I've played more basketball than soccer. And I played basketball in high school as well. So with intramural athletics, there's usually like 2 divisions. Oh yeah, I also play flag football. So there's like an idea of like, they've got intramural sports for like pretty much anything. So there's usually like 2 divisions for intramural athletics, A and B. So A is usually like more competitive people. B is for more casual people. But the thing with intramural athletics is that anyone can pretty much play. So if you're just a casual, just trying to have fun, mess around with your friends, and you just pick B, like you have an opportunity to do that. Or if you want to play more competitive, but not like super serious that you need to go to practice or anything, you can choose A. And yeah, it's pretty easy to to join and sign up and get a team organized and everything. Club sports, on the other hand, is significantly more like legitimate, I guess you could say, because it's not run by students. It's run by like actual faculty, I think. So there's actual like rigorous practices. Um, so I can speak on soccer because I know some people that are in club soccer. UMD is like easily one of the best soccer teams in the entire nation by far. So club soccer, obviously, for being a soccer school like UMD, club soccer is extremely competitive. So that was something that I just wasn't interested in because it's like so much effort to do club soccer specifically, because you got to go to practices all the time. And the people that you're playing with are like really good at soccer. But other club sports are a little like less rigorous per se. For example, I've got some friends that play club volleyball, which is still competitive. And there's a pretty large there's a large scale of like skill between people that play club volleyball and not, because there is no like varsity team, there's only club teams. But I think club volleyball is divided into divisions as well. So yeah, other sports like that where there is no varsity team, club sports is obviously going to have the best players at the school, but also, you know, for being a less popular sport, you have a pretty decent chance of making it as well. So something to keep in mind. Any questions about extracurricular?
We got a question going back to your dual degree from Kamala Krishnan. Can you elaborate a bit more on the difference between dual degree and double major?
The only difference is like credits, and the fact that you get two different diplomas. Like there's no like serious difference between the two. It's mostly like, for me, it wasn't any different to get a dual degree over a double major because I came in with 31 AP credits. So I'm pretty sure you need 150 credits to get a dual degree, and 120 in order to get a double major, something like that, something along those lines. So for me, it wasn't much of a hassle because usually you average 30 credits per year. So 30 times 4 is 120 plus the 30 that I came in with was 150. And typically, like, you're not only doing 15 credits per semester. For me, my scholarship requires me to do at least 15. So there are times that I've taken 18 or 17 here and there, which allowed me to pretty easily get this dual degree number. But in terms of like actual significance, I don't really know if there's a ton of significance outside of like you can put 2 degrees out saying that you have two different degrees. That's about it. I don't know if there's any significant disparity between the two. All right, cool. Anything about this? All right. Social life, groups of friends. So my groups of friends, I'm from Maryland. So I went to my state school. So obviously, like, a significant portion of the people that I knew going into UMD were people that like, or the people that I hung out with at UMD happened to be people that I already knew. So that doesn't have to be the case. So I know a lot of people that have completely just branched out and have brand new friends and all the time, like completely different from me. I ended up rehashing with my friends from middle school who went to a different high school, and yeah, they're them along with some other people that have kind of jumped the bandwagon. Us collectively, we're kind of a friend group again. As far as high school versus college, like, I mean, it's pretty much the same disparity between, like, in terms of like academia and responsibility. Like, there's no like significant difference in terms of like your actual social life outside of the fact that you're in college and you're on your own. So you make your decisions, be responsible, don't do anything dumb, and yeah, it's really up to you and what you and your friends want to do. And chances are, especially at a state school like UMD, like, you'll have an opportunity to do almost anything that you want. So yeah, that's probably the biggest difference between high school and college. Clubs. So I mentioned this earlier, excuse me, I'm not in any like on-campus clubs like that. For me, there weren't any clubs that really like strike me, strike my interest too much. But there are clubs for pretty much anything, whether it's sports or um, like academic or professional clubs or service clubs, um, kind of across the board. So they have this thing called the first look fair, if I remember that correctly, every semester. So they're the first look fair in the spring and the fall. And that's like an opportunity for you to like meet people from each of these clubs. So like the entire like McAllen Mall, which is like one of the biggest malls on in the nation. So a mall meaning like a giant patch of grass. um, so like on this mall, they've got tables out and banners out for every single club over these 2 days. Every club and like almost every frat as well, professional frat at that. And for all these, like you just walk around. It's like from like 10 to 3 p.m. You just like walk around, you talk to people, you see if you're interested, you write your name down on like an email list or like a Google form or something like that. And they contact you. And if you're interested in joining, you can go to their meetings. If not, no harm, no foul. So yeah, that's kind of how clubs work at UMD. Yeah, it's pretty chill. Free time. I mean, me like, actually, I'll go back to clubs because I guess like Quest kind of falls under that. So Quest is I think it stands for Quality Enhancement Systems and Teams. So it's a business engineering kind of combined program, which is pretty much like a program focused on system design. So whether you're in engineering or in business, like systems is like a primary focus in either realm. So for someone like me, I'm a very like business oriented guy, but I'm just better on the technical side. So for me, like that's a big reason why I did CS and econ, is that it gives me like kind of a foot in each area. So with Quest, like we spend a lot of time working in like these interdisciplinary teams with like engineers and business people. And we just create solutions, which is super vague. But I can't really get more specific than that because like in some cases, like we're designing like an app or a product. Other times we're using quality enhancement tools to like improve systems. Yeah, things of that nature. It's something that you're gonna have to do like more research on for the specifics, but in terms of like systems, it's more like I don't even know how to describe this. Like how like things move within a certain like organization, and how like you can improve like process workflows and things of that nature. So yeah, it's a great program, especially like if you're someone like me and you're more into like the business side of things. And yeah, it's an awesome time to just like meet people because you're in a cohort, you're with them for from like freshman year to senior year, and it's an awesome time. But yeah, so as far as like clubs go, that's about as much as I know. And then there are professional frats. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but professional frats aren't like your typical social frats. They usually have some sort of like professional component, obviously, in which they can like help you get jobs. They've got networking opportunities. They've got like alumni in these professional frats that can help you like get referrals to certain jobs, and things of that nature. And it's also like an opportunity for you to meet people and have a good time. So professional frats are also like super great. I know a lot of people that are in professional frats that that love their time there. So one of my best friends is in a professional frat. So yeah, something to look into. There are a lot of different professional frats that range across a bunch of different majors. So yeah, that's something to look into if you're considering UMD. Free time is what you make of it. So yeah, I guess, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like if you want to study all the time, you can study all the time. If you don't want to study all the time, you don't need to. Really, like it depends on what you do. So if you're like a triple major in CS, math, and physics, chances are you're not going to have a lot of free time. If you're someone like me who's taking like CS and economics is a much less rigorous major than any of the other ones that I listed, in that case, like I've got a decent amount of free time. And personally, like for me, I came in with a decent amount of CS knowledge. So for me, like the CS major isn't too bad either. For some people that come in with less experience, it's a little bit more rigorous. But honestly, like once you get a hang of it, once you kind of get through those first couple classes, it does get easier over time as long as you just put the work in. And that doesn't mean that you so yeah, so free time, like there's a decent amount. You can hang out with your friends, do clubs, various other things. It's really like what you make of it. And you kind of have to evaluate for yourself if you're going to have time to do all the things that you want to do. And if you want time to like chill out, or if you want time to like exercise, like you got to understand like making your course load super rigorous or joining all these clubs is going to take away from your time to, you know, do other things as well. So very like rational reasoning. So if you want to know like how work intensive a course is, or if you want to know like how much time a club is going to take out of your day, you just got to ask. So if you go on like UMD Reddit, or if you go on planetterp.com, planetterp.com is going to have reviews for certain professors for certain classes, and they're going to tell you like how much work does this professor give. Is this going to be hard? Is this going to be easy? You on UMD Reddit, there are plenty of people that have asked about plenty of like, if you're CS, like plenty of CS classes, plenty of other classes as well. And gives you a chance to really evaluate like, all right, what's my course load gonna look like, and how can I optimize my schedule to do, you know, what I want to do. So just prioritize. It's something that you're going to learn while you're in college, just prioritizing your time, and yeah, making sure that you get the stuff that you want done, like actually done. So yeah, this is a summary. Like college is a one-time experience. Yeah, you want to make the most of it, but it's really up to you. Like no one's going to make college for you, and that's something that you have to understand, like going into it. Like if you want to have fun and enjoy yourself, like you can make that happen for yourself. If you want to study and try to get the best job possible, and want to do research and want to get a PhD or whatever, you can make that happen for yourself. There's nothing like stopping you from doing any of this stuff. You have to go out and get it though. And so that's like probably the biggest inhibitor when it comes to college, in that like you can pretty much do anything you want. It's just that you have to go and get it. No one's going to hand it to you. No one's going to push you. No one's going to provide that impetus for you to actually go in and get something that you want. So that's something to keep in mind. Like college is a time for you to ask questions. It's a time for you to really like explore yourself and try to understand like what you like, what's important for you. And I know the parents won't like this, but it's your chance to like leave your parents and figure out like what you really like, and you know what your priorities are, because you know ultimately like it's your life. So you gotta figure out what's important for you and how you're gonna prioritize things in your life that'll make you successful and make you happy. Number one, like make sure that you're happy. And you know college, like ultimately, like if you put too much on your plate, you can get overwhelmed extremely easily. I know a lot of people that have felt that way before. So just evaluate, try things out. If you can't handle it, then, you know, let go of certain things, prioritize, know what you want. And eventually you'll figure it out. And then you're going to come to senior year, and then you're going to reflect back, and maybe you made some mistakes. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you're glad that you did certain things that you did. And you know that's how life goes, right? For the rest of your life, you're gonna have to make those decisions, those trade-offs, and those sacrifices if need be. And yeah, that's what it's about. So yeah, my name is Arjun. I go to UMD, and if you guys have any questions, yeah, just drop it in the chat.
We had another question from Kamala Krishnan. What was your specialization in computer science, and why did you choose that?
My specialization is data science. I might drop it though. really doesn't matter if you have a specialization or not. For me, like I'm into the data science like side. So like there, for people that don't know, there are two distinct specializations in CS at UMD. There's cybersecurity and there's data science. So um, they kind of give you like a set of courses that you have to take in order to achieve the specialization. Um, for me, I just did data science because I'm into machine learning. I'm into the whole data science for your databases. Um, and I guess like to go into more detail, like what the data science specialization means is like you're taking um, like stats, you're taking like intro to data science, you're taking machine learning, databases, like what else? Like you might need to take like data structures. It's honestly like relatively open ended. For me, like my schedule was pretty tight, so I might need to drop it just because there's like one requirement I can't hit. But usually like UMD is pretty flexible. If you can't hit like a certain requirement, as long as you have most of it, you can still get a specialization. But to be completely honest, like it doesn't really matter whether you have a specialization or not. Um, like, yeah, it's not gonna like hinder you from getting a job. It's not gonna get you a job. That's ultimately like up to you and um, yeah, what you put into the major itself. Any other questions?
I think that's it. So we're just gonna wrap up now. Thank you so much,
Sounds good.
Arjun, for sharing your experiences at UMD.
No problem.
Next week, we will have another student named Revathi Pillai presenting about University of Pittsburgh. She graduated majoring in neuroscience and anthropology with a minor in chemistry. We also have our previous college talks on our YouTube channel, Robotics for Youth. If you want to know more about our organization and our meeting schedules, you can visit us at roboticsforyouth.org. Thank you all for joining.